Hello, friends, enemies, and those still under review. Welcome or welcome back to Elle Chats, where I get on here once a week to chat about things I'm a fan of. Something I'm a fan of and haven't touched on in this channel is gardening. I grew up with parents and grandparents who gardened myself, and now I'm planning something somewhat ambitious for this year's work. Gardening can be on the cheaper side so far as hobbies go, so long as you don't mind paying for it in sweat, growing things from seeds, and getting creative for sourcing said seeds and tools you may need. Last year, I leaned into paying for it with my sweat and didn't get the results I wanted. Granted, my time later in the year was eaten up by training for the marathon, and I didn't do enough prep in the spring to really thrive in the summer and fall. Later in the video, I'll chat about my mistakes, but we'll start with the basics. Without further ado, let's get into it. Full disclaimer, I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. I'm just an amateur who loves gardening. If you have big questions, I recommend checking out your local garden centers. First things first, before anything goes in the ground, one must figure out two things: their hardiness zone and their soil type. Though I haven't gotten my soil tested and I don't personally know other people who have, there are kits available on Amazon, and if one's really curious, one can try to guess based on the appearance of their soil and how it crumbles. I'm going to have a link in the description box to gardendesign.com/soil to talk more about the types of soil and how to better your soil essentially. But wait, what's a hardiness zone, I hear you ask, as if you have no experience? According to the USDA, quote, "The hardiness zone is a standard by which gardeners and growers can determine which perennial plants are most likely to thrive at a location. It's based on the average annual extreme minimum temperatures. You can find your hardiness zone at https://planthardiness.ars.usda.gov, and the link will be in the description. My growing zone is very possibly different from yours, so don't use my video as a full guide unless you're in the same zone. Even then, your soil is probably different with different needs." Hardiness zones are also important for learning one's average last frost date. This is usually when the threat of frost has passed and one can start planting things into the ground. This is not a guaranteed last date, but generally this is when the frost danger has mostly passed. After all, there are many plants that would not like being suddenly frozen. It can kill one's plants if the plant is not established. The chances are one's plant will do well if it's planted in the right hardiness zone. An extreme example of mismatched hardiness zones is attempting to grow pineapples that optimally grow in zones 11 to 12 and trying to grow it in zone 4, which is a quite cold winter. When you're thinking of zones, the higher the number, the warmer it generally is. I realize that my video is very US centric, however, that's where I am. That's where I plant. If I knew more about finding out the zones outside of the US, I would provide that information here. The safest bet is to check out your country's Department of Agriculture website. But do you know what's agnostic of your climate and hardiness zone? Soil. There are three main types of soil that we need to be concerned with. Those are sandy, loamy, and clay, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. The rest of this is largely paraphrased from NOAA's website, and there will be a link down in the description box. Loamy soil is equal parts silt, sand, and clay. Clay soil is sticky because it's tightly packed small sediment, and sandy soil is comprised of tiny pieces of rock and sand without humus that drains easily. Different plants do well in these different soils, though if you're just trying to get something to grow, you want your soil to be loamy. The reason why that is because loamy soil is typically regarded as the gold standard because it's a balance of these different parts of soil. On the page I linked, NOAA has a pretty solid soil test that one can do at home. If there's interest, I'll do the test myself and figure out my soil type. I have some rose bushes that are doing exceptionally well. Rose bushes love slightly acidic soil, so to me that points to my soil being slightly acidic. That would make sense. I live in a town and runoff is a thing. I don't think my soil drains too well, as my long established rose bush has issues with powdery mildew. That could point to a soil with more clay in it, or it could be that my rose bush just needs to be pruned more so more airflow gets in there to prevent the powdery mildew. Soil with a larger amounts of clay tends to have a slower time draining and tends to hold on to moisture. As I mentioned earlier, there are ways to improve your soil: compost, buying soil like the Miracle-Gro brand, as well as compost, manure, fertilizer. There are ways around having different soil types. I'm going to have to defer to the garden design site that I mentioned earlier in the video, but now that we've covered the basics, let's get on to getting started. I'm not going to lie to you, gardening can very quickly become a very expensive hobby. However, if you're willing to get a little bit creative and be a little bit patient, you can really make it less expensive. For example, if you like bell peppers or tomatoes, you can buy those at the store, eat them the way you normally would, but save a couple of seeds and you've got the ability to start growing in your own garden already. If you forget to eat your potatoes and they sprout, that's the growing process right there. All you need to do is bury them in your garden. Check out your local community groups. There could be some sort of plant exchange or seed exchange occurring near you. If you know people who garden already, they may be looking to offload a couple of plants because sometimes you just overplant. Speaking of community groups, let's talk tools. You could go on Nextdoor if you're in the US. You could go on Facebook Marketplace. There may be some people who are selling their tools for cheap because they can't garden anymore or they have too many. Keep an eye out for garage sales, yard sales. Check out thrift stores. Quick sidebar, if you're buying secondhand, you do have to look at the condition in which the shears, hoe, shovel, whatever you're looking for is in. You need to make sure that it's not too rusty and that the blades can still be sharpened. If you're willing to put in a little legwork, gardening isn't that expensive. There are also usually spring sales, so check out your local hardware store, your local gardening center, and you might be able to pick up a lot of neat things for cheap. Something that gardening has definitely taught me is to be less afraid to put myself out there and ask about different tools that people are using, as well as what plants they're growing. Now let's turn to some mistakes I made last year and how I'm going to fix them for this year. Last year, I made several large errors, and I'm not afraid to admit it. 1, the garden was too small for what I had envisioned. You can do small gardens. I had not planned to do a small garden. 2, I did not water the plants enough. I kept getting sidetracked, and since it's in my backyard and I'm not seeing it immediately every morning, I just didn't think about it. And finally, I planted way too late in the season. I planted in early June, a whole month after the last frost date, and it definitely caused my garden to delay a bit in its development. Now, the smallness of the garden was definitely due to the fact that I had to chisel the ground out from the grass. The grass in my backyard is at the root level, very tangled together, which is very hard to break up with a hoe and a shovel. I also set it up to grow between 2 support beams for a grapevine we have. Due to it being so small, it was hard to water without overwatering some plants. It was also hard to weed without stepping on plants, and having everything so close to the edge also made it much easier for predators to get into my garden. Again, the watering comes up as an issue. Not only forgetting to water, but with everything being so close, made it hard to water things effectively. And once I'd remember to water, it'd be in the afternoon. It'd be hot out. It'd be much harder to justify watering the plants at that point because some of it may evaporate before it could get to the plant. I had waited to plant because I wanted to tear up the ground to effectively get after the planting. However, this did not play in my favor.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
Because as I mentioned, the process very hard. Made me not want to do it even though I enjoy gardening. I just enjoy having an already prepared bed. However, that did mean that my crop yield was smaller. It meant that some things just didn't get ripe in time. All right, let's give a little talk about what went well. My corn grew really well. It grew really tall. I procrastinated on harvesting after I harvested too early on a couple of ears, so that wasn't great. My watermelon plant also grew beautifully. It took over the entire bed that I made, but weed suppression, right? Right. And honestly, I think that's about all that went well last year. So let's talk about what I'm going to do this year to prepare. Right off the bat, I bought a tiller.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
Now, tilling is a little bit controversial in the gardening community, as some people advocate for it and some people advocate against it. I advocate for it when you're setting up a new garden bed because it is hard to get that grass moved. Thank you very much. With my tiller, I plan on widening my garden bed so that way I have the space to move between the plants, as well as I have the space to water. I also plan on buying a sprinkler and hooking it up to a hose so that way I can just twist the faucet and start the watering process, which is much easier to integrate into my morning as opposed to hand watering everything like I was last year. My backyard is fairly large, roughly 67 by 74 feet or roughly 20 by 22 meters. That gives me a lot of space to work with. Since I have so much space and a lot of it is just grass, I would like to start a pollinator garden in one of the corners so that way it's not just grass. In that corner, I would plant native plants. I would plant a lot of flowers, a lot of shrubs, and plants of varying size so that a multitude of pollinators can come by and through. We've already had some bumblebees stop by this year, and I would like to encourage more of that throughout the summer and fall. As far as vegetables go, I'm probably going to stick with what I know, so tomatoes, corn, peppers, bean plants, and I will likely use a taller fence this year to discourage animals from eating from my vegetable garden. Granted, they could probably just reach through the holes, but there's only so much you can do. I also have sunflower seeds left over. Yes, I also planted flowers last year and they grew much better than my veggies did. So I'm probably going to just plant from the sunflowers that I had last year. That's about it for me so far as plans and ideas for this year. Let's move on over to my final thoughts and conclusion. So in this video, we explored the USDA hardiness zones as well as soil types and some of my mistakes from last year as well as my plans to mitigate them this year. There are a few things that I didn't touch on, such as starting your seeds indoors before moving them outdoors, fall planting, types of mulch or compost, or digging deeper into the tilling versus no tilling debate. I also didn't elaborate on small space gardening nor growing plants in pots or plants indoors only. I think it's safe to say that I am a fan of gardening even if I'm not very good at it. I think we should be doing things for the love of it, not necessarily because we're good at it. Boy howdy, is this one a labor of love for me though. Now I turn this to you, friend, enemy, or those under review. Are you gardening this year? If so, what do you have growing? If not, are you interested in gardening? Please feel free to yap back at me in the comments below, and if you've made it this far, please leave a plant emoji. Thanks again for listening to me yap on this week about gardening. Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe because it's the easiest way to support the channel. Remember, being a fan is fun, and have a great day.